Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice, wonderful occasion to remember dear devotee Prabhupada's pastime or life and so. So, but unfortunately, because of my health and age, coming just not very long ago, jet lag, all these things, please forgive me sometime. May not be able to tell exactly, but whatever comes in mind, trying to recollect, reflect. That's it. So I had to say, enjoying St. Yet, I was going for some time there, saw devotees in the streets of London, and I can't think of 2-3 times I saw them like that. Sometimes not so seriously, we used to chanting, dancing, the devotees. I can never, my wildest dream think of such thing, and because in India, childhood days, I thought so, but Westerner, shaved head, with tilak, kurta, ladies with shadi, bangles and everything. Can't think of it. And again, started distributing work and trying to push me on. They insisted. I have to go as a student. The hard days I have, give and come and at night, coming back, walking, see the magazine, okay. Nice fragrance coming, aroma. Because at that time, the devotees used to make incense and sell them. It's difficult. And I'm devotee. So I saw coming out from British Museum, as I remember. And first meeting them, it's polishing the door knob, which you hold and push it. Totally the cream colored building, 5-story, 4-story. And a slit there, the glass letterbox. He's polishing with the ponytail, between shika and shaved head, and come now to the British Museum. A stone's throw from there. Can I come in? Yes. I said, because of my past sanskar, having come from conservative Krishna, so I had this mother, this my grandmother. So I was curious, here is a Radha Krishna temple, green colored building, and in the middle, very blue, sky blue color. Radha Krishna temple, 7 pyramids. As I entered both sides, at once I could feel it's as if it's another world, because of the fragrance, saturated with, nice fragrance of the incense, right side with portrait. It's like this side, I think. Yes. Narad Muni playing veena, painting in canvas, right side, and the carpet alley going upstairs and downstairs basement, and this side, like a same big thick, golden yellow color, get to enter the temple hall room, which is not so big, like this inside. And either side, Mahaprabhu's painting, Radha Krishna, one corner, like this, one corner, right side corner, Vyasasan, Prabhupada's picture, portrait, and altar, a tree, and Madhu slaps the Radha Krishna, and we have the figure, petals of golden, like lotus, Radha Krishna. later on, there are two ashrams. Of course, time I cannot tell, sometimes forgetting. And in this connection I remember, the devotee asked once Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what are these two ashrams made for? There is a boy coming from Maharaj, coming from Australia, not New Zealand, and his name was Shambhuna, Swayambhu. He's from, tall like Maharaj, he's from Australia, and he was asked to make he was telling me, make the ashram, Vaisashram, Prabhupada. And he said, I know nothing about how to make all these things, no idea. The only thing they ask sometimes, to me also sometimes I ask, they always give this answer, Krishna will help you, don't worry. It's one same answer when you go. Krishna will help you. How? You go on doing, Krishna is within your heart, he will guide you. Anyway, he has to do. So he got fortunate doing something for Krishna. As he is doing, everybody is highly appreciating as it is coming out. With color and the golden color, golden and red color mixed together. And the other two small ashrams like this. So Prabhupada wants to ask, Prabhupada, who will sit there? Either side of Radha and Krishna, on top of this Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. It may not be in chronological order. So, the Prabhupada says, this is meant for special guests. So what you put there? You don't have to put anything. Special guests are coming here. Yeah? Who is the special guest? Special guest is Lord Shiva and Narada Muni. Really? Why you don't see? Now you may not see it, I see it. They see that those who had previously lectured Javan had so many bad habits giving up this. Now they are perfect Vaishnava, chanting, dancing, gave up all bad habits, taking bath early in the morning, coming to Mangal Arati with nice tilak and clean dress as saris, kurta, dhoti, with body decorated with tulsi beads, and chanting, glorifying Krishna's name with a nice decorative body with tilak mark, in ecstasy, jubilantly chanting, dancing, with a fortune. And so jubilant, they came to see. Oh, we don't see. Different occasion. Another occasion, that I was not there, little before, they were telling me, sure, he didn't come at that time. There is in Conway Hall, which is from our temple, very place, not very far, near, at present now I think Kingscourt or Euston Station. Any car, I think, there is no traffic jam in 10 minutes. And the Conway Hall, there was a program. I was in a different program, but this one was not there. I heard that Prabhupada came lecture, devotee chanted, danced, big hall, but not full. I also saw sometime this thing. London University, Prabhupada. So the devotees were little, so it's a disappointment. Something that tell Prabhupada, there's not many people. You give lecture, we chanted, danced. Prabhupada, no. Who says no people? I see so many people full. Devotee, surprised, they can't understand what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada said, so many exalted demigods are there. It's completely full. Who said this? So you cannot see. I don't know how you see it, but that is what Prabhupada said. You cannot see. I don't know. You have this thing. Huh? You have? Well, then I have to tell you. And I had so many times had the opportunity to be with Prabhupada in his room. I remember first time Prabhupada. I was reading Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book. Prabhupada said, come there in the morning. When he came to know me, where I come from, and back down. Sit down, I will tell you what to do. Don't have to go to the kitchen. If I ask for you, you can cook for me. Ask, who told you to do? I told this person. Hey, from today, don't take him to the kitchen. Ask somebody else to take care of the kitchen. He will do my work. So first time when he came, I heard he is coming. One devotee told me, where from? I forgot, maybe India. And because of my age, most of them are younger than me at that time. Most of them 17 to 20, 21. I was maybe 26, 28. So they say, you stay in the temple. No, we are going to the airport to see Prabhupada. Prabhupada will come in. It's all right. And one or two more, 2, 3 stay. Treasurer, who walk in the kitchen. Pujari. So Prabhupada came. I saw him, I paid obeisance first time. He called me in his room knowing I was also coming from Calcutta. So Prabhupada asked me to sit. Whatever I remember, it was Prabhupada indicated me, come here. I was at a distance sitting where the books were. And Prabhupada indicated. It's good to understand, pointing, like you're understanding, asking to bring my tilak. And Prabhupada put in the tilak. Nice. It's a picture. And Prabhupada then telling me, first lesson, maybe I am getting a Prabhupada. If the forehead is not decorated with tilak, this is the teaching. It is like a crematorium. A dead bodies are burned. Very inauspicious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he used to give class, Sanskrit to his students, almost it's the same amazing. Navati, some did come with tilak. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will ask him, this is very inauspicious, you can go back. I have to accept. Put on tilak, then come. And Prabhupada mentioned to me about that. So always put on tilak. He is erased, again put on. That when Jamaraj will come, you'll see who is Vaishnava, external, see they will see. He has a look, come on, take him to Jamaraj. But those of the tilak, don't go to them. You know, he's a Vaishnava. Vaishnavi, from a distance, very dandavat. He's a very exalted person, very dear. He is my very dear person. But Jamaraj, so you don't go to Prabhupada. So we can learn from Prabhupada. Another is from one of those details. Shivabhana, where is your danda? You are a pronouncers. So, not to follow, this is our occasion. So, though doctor asked me not to heavy thing carry, this to me is heavy. It is light supposed to be. Some outside is gone, sometimes I see they don't. Only listen. Always be careful. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this was unfortunate. Always put on tilak. Vaishnava. It reminds you. the Krishna Vishnu, our master, eternal, and the servant, the Vaishnava, reminding him, preaching. Like that's one incident. Prabhupada is saying, Vaishnava, Vanchaka Putra Prasya Kripa Sindhu Bheva Putitana Bhava Vaishnava. Even a guru is considered first of all known real Vaishnava, pure devotee. So we see sometimes Prabhupada, how he feels for his disciples, early days. Prabhupada, in our time, sometimes remember 1970s early. Yeah. So Prabhupada early morning used to go for a walk, as you know, everywhere. So, and few devotees go with him. In London, as I remember, I used to go to Hyde Park, Green Park, Regent Park, as I remember. I often used to go, unless I have got duty. They don't stop. So once, Prabhupada going in a van and very place from there, and driver was Yogeshwar Guru from America. He was driving, and Prabhupada, his biggest chief leaders like Sham Sundar, we had can't remember the little Sham Sundar or others, and then Mukunda, any of the holy Prabhupada, Sarva and Srila. And suddenly Yogeshwar said, Prabhupada, I don't know how do you want to, today we have to take it to Regent Park. Few times that side Prabhupada went, they casted some Indian house rich invited Prabhupada and we would go there to program, any other places. So one day going to Regent's Park, very beautiful park, and the lakes, swans, bridges, small, nice flowers everywhere. Sometimes snowing, so heaps of snow there. So Prabhupada, therefore when he was going, suddenly Yogi said, Prabhupada, I don't know London, this morning time, there are one-way road, so I don't know how to go to Regent Park. At that time there is no Google map, as I think. So Prabhupada said, don't worry, I will guide you. We are surprised how Prabhupada said, go first this way, straight, turn right, this way, turn right, go straight, and we are almost near London Planetarium, very near, Wax Museum, Madame Tussauds, and Baker Street, huge building. Suddenly, I was standing behind Prabhupada and Yogeshwar, and Yogeshwar was driving. Suddenly, Prabhupada once long back, you were here early days, we didn't have temple, anything, no transfer. Shall we try to buy this apartment or room, something? And Prabhupada didn't, I kept behind here. Prabhupada didn't say yes or no. One time, this Yogeshwar would tell him, so here, Prabhupada said, something happened once. Devotees early morning, and very cold. Devotees are going out early in the morning for chanting. We sometimes used to go. Very early, sometime after breakfast. In my time. At that time, some pretty early going and very cold. The devotees at that time, I remember, not like this opulent is gone. You cannot think of like this, it's like a palace. I remember Rajaram. Remember Rajaram, German devotee, short wife, and anyway, so Prabhupada, he told about one incident, how Prabhupada feels for this devotee guru. He was going, who was peeping through the window down, devotee on the attendant, When Prabhupada started at that time, that's very hard for devotees to do. Suddenly he saw Prabhupada looking, and then again, drops of tears like a diamond falling from Prabhupada's eyes, rolling down. He saw Prabhupada is violent. What happened? He thought better not ask Prabhupada now in this mood. After a few days, he asked Prabhupada, can I ask you some question? And then Prabhupada said, yes, Prabhupada, it's a little personal, I don't know. Okay, tell me, what was happened? A few days ago I saw devotees are going and he cannot tell. He said, Prabhupada, you are very much moved, overwhelmed. Oh, I see. Look, I am the spiritual master. I have to think about them. I was praying to Krishna. In severe cold, people are going to earn money, working hard. In that sense, contribution is nothing. And these boys dedicated their life, these boys and girls, but I cannot give them necessary warm clothes. No, sometimes we may not have good gloves, good socks. Sometimes could be one red sock, one blue sock. People used to laugh. Sometimes oversized dress. We didn't have personal dress. Everything is washed. Washing machine, talking, good one fitting. Time is short, so I have to make it. I can't tell many things, whatever is coming in mind. So I was praying to the Lord, and I will be carried away by emotion. I cannot provide them. Please bless them. They are working so hard for you. They have given everything. They have given up their family. And near and dear ones came whole time, working day and night for you. But I can't give them anything. Please show mercy on them. Like that many incidents. One day in Mayapur, I remember at that time, the GBC, when I was in England, was also the Hamsadutta. And he was from early days and he heard he was in Germany. I used to cook for him. He asked. One day asked him also to go to Germany and try. He couldn't make it. But anyway, so make it short. Same thing, how Prabhupada feel for his, like a father, spiritual, and he came suddenly. I was in Prabhupada, and it is Prabhupada going to take bath and then coming to take prasad. Suddenly, when Prabhupada went to take bath, and suddenly Hamsuda came, I want to see Prabhupada. So, where is Prabhupada? I'm coming from Germany. He looked exhausted, plight, and long distance car drive. At that time, coming from Mayapur to Calcutta, at least 4 hours, if not more. I'm so tired, can't take this. And he arrived, he looked exhausted. So I said, okay. Prabhupada came, Prabhupada started eating, Prasad came. It was afternoon almost. After 3, Prabhupada 8 hours used to take. I remember. Also manna and organized. Prabhupada, he is telling how he is struggling, especially German police, how giving hard time, even came all together to take everything snatch. Whole encircle, Swiss daughter shop, the one like Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, big place in Germany, biggest temple, not in the city, in the outskirts, like Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. And telling that even suing the devotees, manhandle, forcibly taking away books, so many things, how to handle, want to discuss with Prabhupada. He is facing these difficulties, challenges, problems. And Prabhupada still Suddenly Prabhupada indicated me, wow, arrange prasad for you. I should understand. Feel for his knowledge. I came out, checking everything, and just I have to go nearly, at least if I run almost not 3 to 5 minutes to the main kitchen of the building, Lotus building man. I told Prabhupada, I have to make most of the food for him. Still I don't know the cook, where they are, so it may take some time to arrange for him. Everything is locked up. Everybody where they are gone, I don't know, they may be sleeping, taking their house. What to do? Oh, sir, never mind. He's still sitting, taking his prasad. Suddenly Prabhupada stop and take his plate and push it to arm's door. Take this prasad. Yes, otherwise Prabhupada's plate. How Prabhupada feels, you could see, I was exhausted. Prabhupada can read on his mind. Then came from Germany to Calcutta, and Calcutta came, they can take a taxi or whatever in a car. Okay, at that time we didn't have so many provisions in the car. And once you go to Calcutta, whole day comes, taxi comes, unless you have your own car. He asked me, you can be maximum half an hour. It's almost half an hour come. Not gone, almost. So stop. Sorry? That night is young. Thank you. I know something story is very wonderful. That was devotee told me. I used to can do the DT worship. I like London DT is very beautiful. Prabhupada gave the name. Radha Govinda name also told me. It's a Radha, it's a Londonist, smiling face. And Radha Govinda. How did you teach? Krishna came here. I was asking some devotee told me. The early days, when everything arrangement made to make it short, Prabhupada was saying 3 of his couple, disciple, Mukunda and Janaki. Janaki, Mukunda, Gurudas and Jamuna. Prabhupada's first batch of disciples from America to send London to start a temple with 3 couples. And another is Shyam Sundar and Malati. So they're different places, they're not much money. They came across and met George Harrison and made friendship. George Harrison went a lot. And with the help of George Harrison, they made a record. Devotees chanting Hare Krishna. It became a hit in the weekend, and the pop song is called Top of the Pop. Top of the Pop. I remember, so everybody is very popular. It came the best Hare Krishna Maha. And few other things also. Just little before. Anyway, this way Hare Krishna becoming well known. And Jamuna Devi is very devotee. He has a Prabhupada association about. Who personally taught her how to cook. And she wrote a book. And she preached to this vegetarian book, Kushan, volume as big as this. In New York Times, according to her vegetarian book. book, best seller. Best book and become bestseller. This is he is preaching how to cook. He came to India and learned also all parts of India, vegetarian dishes, different. South India, North India, different. East, West, something common. South, North, completely different. And she taught everything. Very fast. Anyway, this joke I learned from Prabhupada. A lot of us yeah. Another incident, remember about Jamuna. Anyway, first this thing I said how. So, the deity, how it came, and when it was everything is ready, with George Harrison help, they got central London, in High Holborn, and Oxford Street, Tottenham, High Holborn, Tottenham Court Road, Wednesday, or the Charing Cross Road, the center of London, West End, everybody goes. Weekend shopping, famous. You can say heart of the city, center. Everybody goes to shopping, all the departmental stores, Century, C&A, so many other, Gulwad. I can remember most of them. These are main. And every day devotee goes to Sankirtan. Sometimes police arrest us and take us for some time. He was in the police station and then they let us go. Sometimes take us to the court and charge us nominal £1 for each, something like that. We couldn't pay in that condition. We were so impoverished at the time. But Krishna provides everything. Anyway, they made gradually Sam Sundar is very good in carving, carpentry work. So previously also, is ready to be. So Sam Sundar is made the Jagannath city. By Prabhupada, I don't know who did it this time. Must be Sam Sundar. And it was on the platform. When I first went there, some Ranchur, one devotee asked, please to him so many times. I used to go to Mangalarti and other things at the time I was free. So evening attending class, Gita, and I used to go. He asked me many times to join. And I said, no, I have got responsibility every Sunday. I think he told me, his name is Ranchur, I think. He might have written a book, I think, and writing more books about rising of sun, beginning of Krishna consciousness in UK or Europe, first time. And how the deity came, he must have written, I think, some devotees. And I was invited also, others coming. So he, one of the devotees, is telling that, so how this deity can be beautiful here, how? Now when everything is ready, BBC will come, take photo, video and transmit it. And everything is ready. And other newspaper will come first. International Sarati, Hare Krishna temple in the Western country, Europe especially, London. Everything is ready, even George Harrison gave for the throne, everything ready. But suddenly one devotee asked Prabhupada, everything ready, and the temple is made on a house, turned into a hall room, into a temple. It's like a upside down of a boat, ribs, and made of gold and yellow colored wood, very beautiful. And made by design, the Sam Sundar. Saint Prabhupada told, you should put your plate. And that Sam Sundar did it. It was not done. But suddenly one day, one devotee, just 3 days left. Everything is fixed, newspaper had come to. Prabhupada, DT has come here. Really? Everything is ready. The DT has come, so what do you do? Prabhupada said, Krishna must have some plan. Don't only try best. Look in the newspaper, different persons say different things regarding this. They once said, some devotee told, Prabhupada, they found something. What is that? The somebody has Radha Krishna deity. Huh? They brought it from India, in eastern London. Right now, let's go. Time is very short, time is running out. It's high time. Okay, any vehicle? Yeah, go to East London. Somewhere near Stratford. Somewhere near Forest Gate or something area. When that name is given, his name is there, they have got a deity, they want to establish also temple, on Hindu temple. That man's name is something from Punjab, I think, not Agarwal or something else. I forgot. Anyway, the post, you have got the address, find out. They found the place, knocked, and he came on. Where you come from? This. What do you want? This is our purpose to see. You have got it. Yes, come. Oh, Swamiji. The Prabhupada was there. Who was talking? And he showed this is the deity. And it was a long talk. I make it short. Suddenly, who was talking? Devotees, Taman Krishna, Samsundar, someone another. Prabhupada, with eyes indicated them, have a look at the deity, try to wait whether each of you can carry Krishna and some from Radharani. The eye gesture, they could understand what Prabhupada is saying. Who is talking? Again. Suddenly, who was take it, man. His name talking. He just with the eyes, he is indicating. It's a nice story, I cannot tell. Proper different person told me differently. Almost like they take suddenly Prabhupada got up and going. Okay. Suddenly that guy is saying, Swamiji. Going behind Prabhupada, following. And Prabhupada is saying, yes, it's very nice deity I saw. Very beautiful. Prabhupada asking, Radha and Krishna. And Prabhupada got up and said, we'll see Swamiji, I want to talk to you. Now after a little while, somehow Prabhupada stopped the car and called the hand, he said, hold each of you, this deity, Krishna and Samsundar, Mukunda was outside. Prabhupada said, open the door one, open the back door of the van, oversee, over chanting. Govinda Adipurisa Tamaham Rajan. Act like I didn't tell you, Krishna will come, do your service. Suddenly, Prabhupada heard Mukunda told Prabhupada, you kidnapped Krishna. Prabhupada gave a sweet smile to him. I'd rather see enigmatic smile. It's difficult to understand. Prabhupada said, let us go and phone Jonah, make this side, that side, hurry up. Everything gets ready, everything is complete. Prabhupada in ecstasy. Another incident, if Maharaj allows, make it. This is Jonah Devi's. Prabhupada sometime at that time told also, where sadhus don't waste Krishna's money, always traveling train. Later on, Prabhupada found a lot of change. Now we can train fare, you can go. Mountain train fare, same one. Anyway, whatever the case, they're traveling. Sunday, maybe from Madras to Calcutta they are coming, most probably. And how Prabhupada is pure devotee. He said, Machitta Madhava Prana Bodha, 24 hours. One should think of Krishna, we can think, well, the sake of Krishna, sleeping, sometimes you have to take rest. You have a jet like what? You try jet. Anyway, at that time, everybody is sleeping, Prabhupada, Sunday Prabhupada got up. Samsundar get up. What happened? in the train at night. I heard this. That's some nice incident we can learn how devotees, for the sake of the Guru, he has to carry out his order, he has to take the risk of living life. Anyway, Shyam Sundar said, oh, but what happened at night? Now everybody is sleeping. Take out the notebook. I have some idea about how to preach. I am thinking how to preach preaching. This is a good idea. Came in my mind. Take the notebook and go on writing. I am saying, dictating. Later on, maybe the same journey, who was suddenly an awkward time. Everybody is in the train in India, there is a cabin where they cook everything and then supply whoever buys. I feel hungry. So anybody can cook some rice for me. Prabhupada is from Bengal, something in the coastline, I had to grow rice and say, all South India, coastline and here, Odisha, Bengal, Tamil Nadu, all goes up to Kerala without rice. And I trust very much. So Prabhupada also suddenly said, I something put some rice. It was quite late afternoon. Suddenly Jamuna Devi, Gurudas's wife, he went to the cabin somewhere, the kitchen. He talked to him, he said, what do you want? You want to everything is finished now. We are not providing any meal now. What do you want? Then he said, can I see your, I want some rice, I want to cook for my Guru. No, this is not possible. You won't allow. Then he said, who is your judge? I want to talk to him. He went to that guy. He said, look, you are a Hindu? Yes. So what? I want my Guru, want some rice, I must have. You don't know what Guru said, you have to do by any means. Whatever your Guru may be, maybe I can do. You don't have anything. Everything is finished. They are cleaning now. Now I have to do this thing. Look, help me. My Guru said, and he started preaching. And she became heavy. She said, do you know that one should even die if you cannot help for to do what Guru says? Take the risk. You won't listen. You won't listen? You are a Hindu? You don't want that? She started preaching a little, scolding. You know, you will be responsible. I jumped now from the train. Got nervous. That guy. And seeing all foreigner, and a woman like that, she then he agreed, and he cooked rice and something else. They gave everything, and cleaned up everything, and cooked, and over a big smile, and he brought this thing, and blessed her. Hare Krishna. I think there are so many others. Bhakti Chaitanya Swami and also Timothy.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Vanchakalpachapischa Kripasadivyacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Hare Krishna. What am I supposed to talk about? Srila Prabhupada. All right, we can do that. Not bad. Nothing like the seniors here. Right. Whenever we get the opportunity, we listen to Prabhupada's memories on YouTube. And there was an interesting memory from her Mataji's name was Kaushalya. She was one of the first ladies, and she was part of the group of devotees that went to India in 1970. And Prabhupada took the devotees to Gujarat, and they had very wonderful kirtans in the streets. Devotees are used to being heckled, things thrown at them. But when they went to India, people practically worshipped them. They'd be on Harinam and people would cover them with garlands. So many garlands that you couldn't even see their faces. People would give them fruits and everything. They would offer arti to them. It was such a wonderful experience in reference to the way were treated in the West. People would curse them, spit at them, throw some things at them. So she was mentioning they went from Gujarat to Indore, and then they came back to Bombay. And she was there in Prabhupada's quarters, and this old elderly Indian gentleman came in. And he said, oh Prabhupada, please save me. You can enlighten me. It was very interesting the way she explained that Prabhupada told him, no, I cannot enlighten you, but I can teach you how to enlighten yourself. But you have to do the work. And it was amazing. Amazing, because sometimes we think Krishna will do all the work, or my Gurudev will do all the work. But Prabhupada wasn't saying for sure Prabhupada would do all the work. But that's not the way it happens. Prabhupada said, I can't enlighten you, but I can teach you how to enlighten yourself. You have to do the work. So sometimes we're thinking that somebody else is going to do it. Like the Christians. The Christians think that, well, everyone falls short in the eyes of God. That Jesus will save me. Jesus saves. You see that on the bumper of the cars. Jesus saves. I love Jesus. But if you can't control your senses, how can you love anyone? It's just the reactions of the three modes of material nature. So Prabhupada made this point, and there was another devotee in the room, and I said, look, and I replayed it. I replayed it about 3 or 4 times. I said, listen to this. Listen to this. So sometimes we're like the Christians. We think that Jesus will do everything. we can carry on with our lives as imperfectly as unfortunately it goes on. And Jesus will save us. Jesus will save us. Or Prabhupada will save us. But Prabhupada is saying, no. I can't enlighten you. But I can teach you how you can enlighten yourself. Now we have 150, 200 people. 250 devotees, not people, devotees. So sometimes we're not understanding the deal, the contract that we've been entered into with Srila Prabhupada or one of his devoted disciples. The contract is that we'll listen to Prabhupada's instructions and he will teach us how to enlighten ourselves. There's some work involved. Sometimes people get a job. Of course, this is South Africa. And we see it all the times. People are working on the streets. And there was one time because they're stealing the cables in Cape Town. And the electrical company would come out and they'd find the fault. And then another truck would come, and then they'd sit together and chat for a while, for an hour or two, and then finally they'd get up and take the wire down, and somebody else would come along and put a new wire up. The work itself only took about 20 minutes, but they took the whole day. They took the whole day. Because they just want to see the time out. See the time out. So we may be sitting, seeing the time out, but we're not really getting the job done. We're not doing what Srila Prabhupada instructed us, and we're not doing the work that we need to do in order to become spiritually realized. So, I won't go on for very long. But it was just an interesting point that we all have to take responsibility for our spiritual lives individually. It's not something we have. What is that? Oh, fireworks. All right. It's New Year's Eve, gosh. Who would remember? Cape Town is illegal. It's illegal to have fireworks. The police would come and arrest everybody in Durban. Everyone in Durban would get arrested. Anyway, so Srila Prabhupada is very kind. That's his predominant quality, his compassion for all. But he's not foolish. He's offering us the opportunity to become realized souls. But it requires some work. It requires some work. And the devotees sitting up here, except for this guy in the end, they're all doing the work. They're all doing the work in a very extraordinary way. Lives of celibacy and complete dedication to spreading Krishna consciousness. And we have their wonderful examples to guide us, but it's not that we can slack off or slouch around and watch DSTV. We actually have a time. Time is our most important, it's our most valuable commodity. You may want to have a big bank balance, but with all the money that Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk has, they cannot buy back 1 second. 1 second. So that's a practical point. But everyone here is very, very special. The people here are very special. And that you've lent yourself to the process of self-realization. to greater or lesser degrees. So it's a new year. It's a new year. It starts in 3 hours. There'll be a new year. And so what does New Year mean? A new start. A new start. Now we're not going to ask people to make New Year's resolutions. We'd just like to mention that with a new year, we can make a different course in our lives. We can start a different attitude in our lives. We can work together to help one another become more attentive to spiritual practices. We have this wonderful temple here, wonderful, beautiful temple. Come and visit Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Sundar. Saturdays and Sundays. Don't sleep late. Come to the program. Make a difference in your life. And the results will be so much more happiness. That's one of the basic principles of Krishna consciousness, is that misery comes from material engagements and happiness comes from serving Krishna. So let's experience it. Let's experience it. That by chanting and serving, there's so much service to do. Cape Town, we just had a very nice Rath Yatra. There were about 12 people that did all the work. And I'm sure here, I know, I came last year for Radhastami. We came here to Phoenix, and there was one devotee, I guess we'll say his name. His name was Rupanuga. And he was organizing the flowers and the garlands and everything. And we stayed well, and then we went to Radharanath, and went to a temple room there, and who do we see but Rupanuga does. And he's helping do the same things in Radharanath. And I'm thinking, has he learned how to expand himself? Or is he just very, very sincere? So it was easy to tell what was the answer. So it doesn't take a whole lot of people. When we were devotees, when we first went to India, people would come up to say, "Oh, I saw you in Oxford Street. I saw you in Oxford Street." And they were thinking that there were millions of us. But there was only a few dozen. But the devotees worked so hard. So let's not miss out. What Krishna wants to see, what Prabhupada wants to see is our endeavor. Even the results. Karna eva nikaraste ma palechu kadajana. We perform our duties, the results. That's up to Krishna. But do the endeavor. We had the Rath Yatra last year in Cape Town. It was on a Saturday. It poured. It was supposed to it was sprinkling, and it was supposed to clear. So we put Jagannath Baladev Subhadra on the cart, Prabhupada on the cart, and then the drizzle turned into a downpour. And we were holding umbrellas over Srila Prabhupada, myself and Jyotirmaya. We were getting soaked, and we still weren't able to keep the rain off Srila. So it was the first time in my history I've been to Rath Yatra where we actually took the deities off the cart. But we had a very nice gentleman, NJP Smith, who was a city councilor. He got on his phone. He called the police department and told them, "Listen, we're doing this tomorrow." And he arranged it. Next day, weather was perfect. We had a wonderful festival. We changed the route a bit so that local people would see instead of just holiday goers. And it turned out to be a wonderful festival. So on Saturday when it's raining, we're thinking, why is Krishna doing this? We're working to please Him. Why is He doing this? But Krishna just wants to see our effort. He wants to see the effort. The result, that's up to Him. He wants to see the devotees working hard. And when you do that, then your relationship with Krishna actually begins to intensify. So we don't want to be fence sitters, sitting on the fence, watching to see if these people performing devotional service, if they actually become happy or go back to Godhead. We want to be bench sitters. When the athletic teams are playing, you have some people that have done all the practices, but they're the reserves. And any moment they can be called in. So we should be like that. We should be prepared to be called in to do some nice service for Krishna. We're chanting 16 rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. And then when one of Krishna's servants asks us to do some service, oh, sorry, I've got to do this and do that. No. We should be always eager to render some service. And that's what makes a temple. That's what makes a temple really a temple. So I've got some news for you. This is a very special temple. You are all very special servants of Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra. And do more. The more you do, when festivals like this come around, the more satisfied and happy you'll be. And all the other disappointments in material life will not mean anything. You'll be able to shrug it off like water off the duck's back. So take advantage of the opportunities. I'll shut up now and let you hear some real speaking. But take advantage of the opportunity that Srila Prabhupada has given all of us to render some service to Krishna, to make some use of this valuable human life, which most people, unfortunately, completely waste. So, thank you very much all for coming. We wish you a very, very happy, Krishna-conscious New Year. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
I just want to say, first of all, that His Holiness Siddhartha Swami Maharaj is a very dear old friend of mine. I remember the first day I walked into the temple in London. It was the first day I walked into any temple. It was that temple in Berry Place in London. And I walked through the door. I was looking for a spiritual master. At least that much I knew, that I needed a spiritual master. And there was one young devotee sitting on, because you walk in and maybe 5-6 meters in, the stairs go up. And the door to the left goes into the temple room. So there's this one young devotee sitting there, Dhira Nayaka Prabhu. And I asked him, he's like 22 or 23. I asked him, "Are you a spiritual master?" And he looked at me. He said, "You look really spaced out." Seriously, that's what he said to me. Not a very encouraging sort of way to start. So then off he went. But then coming down the stairs, just imagine, I don't know, 30 seconds later or something, coming down the stairs was Subhag Maharaj. True. And I asked him, you know what I asked him? "Are you a spiritual master?" Because I was looking, I needed a spiritual master, sure. And he just said, "No, no." And he took me into the temple room, he probably doesn't remember, and showed me the deities, same deities that Prabhupada kidnapped. Radha showed me the deities, explained who they were. Somehow I already knew. Then he taught me the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra. So it is a fact, Subhag Maharaj was the first devotee to preach to me. So I had a great debt to him. And you're all very fortunate to get his association. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a few stories about Srila Prabhupada. Not really from my own association. I mean, I had a little, but not as much as Maharaj. But I've told you before all those stories. But I'll tell you a few stories, things I've picked up in the meantime. And first one, here's an interesting little point. I think you'll find this interesting. This was told to me by Shrutakirti Prabhu when he was here in South Africa. What was it, 3 months ago or whatever it was? You remember when he was just here, maybe October or September. So he told me that he noticed that Srila Prabhupada, after taking prasadam, Prabhupada, at least immediately after taking prasadam, Prabhupada would not rinse his mouth. Prabhupada would get a toothpick and, with the toothpick sort of poke around to get the last little scraps of prasadam from between his teeth and then swallow them. And he asked Prabhupada, "Why do you do that?" And Prabhupada said, "This is prasadam. I don't want to waste prasadam." How's that? That's interesting, isn't it? Because we would normally just rinse it out, spit it out, and that's it. Away we go. But Prabhupada was thinking even of the last little scraps that get stuck between the teeth somehow. That I found that very interesting. And I can tell you one little story which Indradyumna Maharaj told me about an experience he had with Srila Prabhupada. That Srila Prabhupada told him that when you go back to Godhead, Krishna will be there waiting for you. And I will be there also with Krishna waiting for you. And I I will stand, Prabhupada said, I will stand in the middle. I will take Krishna's hand. I'm standing in the middle. Then I'll take your hand and I'll bring your hands together when you go back to Godhead. That's also very nice. Yes, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada is going to introduce us to Lord Krishna and connect us up with Lord Krishna. Here's another one. I think you may have heard this. This was told by Prabhupada. I just heard a recording of it. Prabhupada's talking about how when he was young, they will say, a young married man. And he was out in the streets one day in Calcutta with his 4-year-old son. And a wedding party went past. You know, the groom on the horse and the sort of the brass band banging away and a whole lot of people. That's quite a scene. And Prabhupada's son said, "Oh, Daddy, what's happening?" And Prabhupada said, "Oh, it is a wedding party." And his son said, "A what? A wedding party?" "Yes." What's a wedding party?" Prabhupada said, "This young man is going to marry some young lady." And the little 4-year-old child said, "Really? Oh, I see. And what are they going to do then?" And Prabhupada said, "Well, then they'll be married. They'll be married and, they'll have a family and everything." And the little boy said, "Really? That is marriage?" "Yes," said Prabhupada, "that is marriage." And the little boy said to Prabhupada, "Are you married, Daddy?" Innocent children. Let's see. So Prabhupada from time to time, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, but any time, from time to time, he would talk about retiring. That I will stop involving myself in the management, organizing the movement. And when there's some GPC member or members present, Prabhupada would say, "I will hand the management over to you. So you do the management, and I will simply translate and write my books." So Karanda Prabhu told the story that one time in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada came to him and said, "Yes, that is it. I am now retiring. I'm retiring. I will write." And Karanda was, at the time, very prominent GBC member. Said, "Now you manage. You manage. I've stopped managing." So Karanda agreed, "All right, Prabhupada, yes, we will manage. You retire. You write your books." Then Karanda said, a letter came, a few letters came for Prabhupada, and he had them in his, Karanda had those letters in the top pocket of his kurta. And he came to see Prabhupada, and Prabhupada saw the letters. Prabhupada said, "What are those letters?" And Karanda said, "Don't worry, Prabhupada. We'll take care. It's some management things. And Prabhupada said, no, give me the management, give me the letters. That was the end of his retirement. Because, not that he particularly wanted to manage, like manipulate things, but he really wanted to organize things so the movement spread. Yes. So, let's see. Well, here's an interesting one. Subhag Maharaj was mentioning a little bit about Christianity. Prabhupada once was in Mexico, which is sort of a very Catholic country. And, you get a lot of these crucifixes, if you know what I mean, Jesus on the cross, hanging around here and there. So they went to one town, some city in Mexico. That evening, Prabhupada was going to do a whole program. This is now kind of in the middle of the day or so. And so they went to some devotee family's house, and the family gave Prabhupada a room. They'd set it up there. You could just rest here, relax here as you like, there. So he went, and after a while, after about an hour, Prabhupada rang his bell, which was the sign to the assistant, I must go in. So then he went, and Prabhupada was sitting on the end of his bed, looking at, on the wall was a crucifix, a cross, but with, a little figure of Jesus hanging from it, a tortured picture of Christ. And this is told by Shamsundar. Shamsundar said, there were a couple of tears coming from Prabhupada's eyes. And Prabhupada said, Shamsundar, would you please remove this? And Prabhupada said, they have killed their spiritual master so that they can sin. Right, let's see. Prabhupada, this is from Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that Tamal Krishna Maharaj speaking to Prabhupada, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, once you said you're like a cow, and wherever your devotees take you, you'll just go there and you'll give milk. Means preach Krishna consciousness. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, there's one thing I don't understand. The ordinary cows, you can milk them once, maybe twice a day. But then that's it. And in between, if you can do it twice, you have to let them rest for 10 hours or something. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj said that somehow or other you, Prabhupada, you never dry up like a cow dries up in between milkings. You never dry up. You're always giving more and more. And Prabhupada smiled and said, yes, that is because I am a Surabi cow. Spiritual cow from the spiritual world. One devotee asked Prabhupada, why is it that the garlands we put on the deities, like these garlands, they deteriorate. They sort of dry up and so on, and we have to replace them. But we know Krishna is transcendental. He's ever fresh. Krishna never dries up. So why do the garlands dry up? They should remain fresh. And Prabhupada said, yes, the reason they dry up and they need to be replaced is just to give you the chance to serve by making new garlands. Let's see here. Prabhupada was in one temple in America, and it was just not a big building, small building, and the temple room was also the prasadam room. And so now Prabhupada came down into the temple room sometime in the middle of the morning or sort of late morning. And all the devotees in that temple, they all had stainless steel plates. And then Prabhupada came in and saw all the stainless steel plates were still in the sink, dirty, after breakfast, a few hours before. And there was one devotee in the temple room chanting japa on his own. And Prabhupada asked him, is someone going to wash the dishes? The devotee just became silent. And Prabhupada said, all right, then I will do them. And Prabhupada started washing the dishes. And then the devotee suddenly, got the idea. And he said to Prabhupada, no, it's all right, I'll do them. And he washed the dishes. Yes. Here's an interesting little story from one devotee. I haven't seen him for years, but he's from England, Ravi Das. He wanted to be initiated by Prabhupada. And one day, he was serving under Hansadutta Prabhu. And one day in Mayapur, Hansadutta came up to this devotee and said, Prabhupada wants to see you. And this devotee thought, have I done something wrong? Is Prabhupada going to chastise me? So he just walked in to Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada looked up and said, your name is Ravi Das. And Ravi Das was stunned. He had not paid obeisances to Prabhupada yet, coming into the room. He just stood there in the room with his mouth open. And Hansadutta, who was there, said, I think you should pay your obeisances, Prabhu. So bowed down. And then he sat up. Prabhupada was looking at him, and he was feeling, Ravi was feeling a little puzzled. And he said to Prabhupada, is that it? And Prabhupada said, what more do you want? Then he said, Ravi said, that he understood Prabhupada has accepted me as a disciple. And he said, but Prabhupada, I've seen other devotees get initiated, and they have a fire yajna. And Prabhupada said, that is mere formality. And Prabhupada pointed to his heart and said, initiation takes place here in the heart. So then Ravi understood that actually I had already accepted Prabhupada as my spiritual master when I first saw him. So this is just confirming the connection. Let's see. Right. This is from Sri Dayananda Maharaj. He says, I personally heard Prabhupada say that it could be day and night simultaneously in Goloka Vrindavan. The cowherd boys are playing in the daylight on Govardhan Hill, and simultaneously the gopis are dancing with Krishna on the banks of the Yamuna in the evening moonlight. Simultaneously. It's day and night. Simultaneously. In Goloka Vrindavan. Then this is from Badri Narayan Swami. He was on a morning walk with Prabhupada, and devotees were asking Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, is there fog in the spiritual world? And another one suddenly asked, is there dew on the grass like this in the spiritual world? And then a series of other questions about, is there this, is there that in the spiritual world? And after the fourth or fifth question along these lines, Prabhupada said, you have so many questions, just go there and find out. And here's one from an experience of mine of on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada by Bhaktivedanta Manor. Prabhupada would go out from the manor down the road and then come around and come back through the fields, because it's an agricultural, kind of semi-agricultural area. So that night it had been raining. So there are pools of water here and there as we're walking across the field. And at one of these pools, means, it's like maybe 5 meters wide or something like that. Not big, but there's some water there. There was a frog, and the frog was sitting on the ground next to the pool of water. And when the frog saw us, Prabhupada, and the small group, probably, 15 devotees with Prabhupada, maybe, something like that, the frog jumped into the water and went under the water. And then we saw bubbles coming out because the frog was breathing under the water. And Srila Prabhupada stopped. And as he sort of characteristically did when he was walking, he had his walking stick and he would put it down kind of firmly because now he's going to make a point. So Prabhupada said, you see that? You saw that frog? He was outside the water. He was breathing the air. Now he's in the water and he's breathing in the water. And Prabhupada said, it is mystical power. Then this one devotee who was in the party, who was a bit of a, I don't know what you'd call them. Anyway, he had a bachelor's degree in some sort of science to do with animals. And he said, well, actually, Srila Prabhupada, it's not mystical power. What it is that frogs have 2 breathing systems, one like ours, and then they have like fish. They have sort of like gills, if you know what I mean. And so they're able to extract oxygen from the water. And so it's not mystical power. And Prabhupada said, it is mystical power. And that was the end of the discussion. Prabhupada just then walked on. And this is one from Guru Das. It's a really nice one. That he was on parikrama with Prabhupada, like the first group. They're going visiting places around the Vrindavan area. And so they're walking around with bare feet, and somehow or other Guru Das stepped on something or kicked something, and one of his feet started to bleed. And Prabhupada saw it. And Prabhupada immediately came over with a clean cloth and just very carefully, very nicely bandaged Guru Das's foot himself. Yeah. Special mercy. And Guru Das said, Prabhupada's touch and humility sped up the healing. Okay. This is Guru Das also from when Prabhupada took them to Nandagram. I'm sure many of you have been there up on top of the hill. So Prabhupada and a small group, including Guru Das, were walking around the temple room there. Those of you who have been there would be familiar that on the walls and on the ceiling there are paintings of Krishna Lila, all sorts of nice, very nice paintings. Just like on the roof, basically, on the inside of the roof. And so they're walking around looking at these pictures. Prabhupada's making a few comments about, this is Krishna killing somebody, some demon, and things like this. Then Prabhupada stopped and Prabhupada said, art means full belly. And Prabhupada said, people must be well fed before they can appreciate the luxury of art. So similarly, we must feed them before they'll be able to appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada's Food for Life, Ki Jai. So this is another one from Guru Das. They're walking with Prabhupada, morning walk in San Francisco, 1967. There's a park there with a lake called Stowe Lake. And there were some ducks sitting on, there's a path going around, like tar-sealed path, close to the lake, but there's a bit of a gap between the path and the lake, and there were some ducks there sleeping. So one devotee went running ahead, shouting to the ducks, "Get out of the way! The Swami is walking!" And Prabhupada, because in those days they didn't call Prabhupada. He was just the Swami or Swamiji. And then Prabhupada compassionately said, as you think they're disturbing us, they think we are disturbing them. Because Prabhupada could see into the hearts of the living entities. Here, well, I probably told you this one. This is a really good one. It was, I think, 1976, and Prabhupada and a busload of devotees went to a place, some old temple of Haridas Thakur, somewhere in Bengal. They went from Mayapur. But Prabhupada went in a car with a group of his senior assistants, but an employed driver, a local man driving. And this man, the driver, and there's so many of them in India, he was a horn specialist. He was always hooting the horn. Hooting and hooting and just hooting and hooting. And he was just on the horn the whole time. Yeah, but then suddenly the horn broke down. He's trying to hoot the horn, but there's no sound at all. And he almost had an accident. He almost had an accident. Whoever Guru does again. We came close to hitting some pedestrians. So the devotee started shouting out the windows, Hare Krishna! It didn't work so well because it's very noisy and plenty of people are shouting there anyway. So Prabhupada turned around in his seat. He's sitting in the back next to on the passenger side. Prabhupada said, give me my plate. So he got his metal plate, and with his walking stick, he leant out the window, banging on the metal plate. Out the window. It really worked very well. The people got the message and they moved out of the way. Yeah. So Prabhupada carried on for a while and then handed the plate and a spoon to one of the other devotees and said, now you do it. So that devotee, hanging out the other window, banging on the plate, and it was working very nicely. And Prabhupada laughed and said, they will think it is a new American invention, and they will want to imitate it. Let's see, should I say here's another one, which again, you may be familiar with. It was 1973, this is from Bhavananda Prabhu. 1973, a group of devotees sitting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada looked at them and said, when I was young, I was very strong, and I ate halava every day. And then he lifted his arm, and, as people do when they want to show their muscles. See, I was very strong. And then Prabhupada, with his arm up like this, he patted the bottom of his arm and said, see, now, flat tire. And so everyone laughed. But then Prabhupada gave them a very serious look, and Prabhupada said, don't think this won't happen to you. Okay. I will hand over to His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Om Jnana Timiranyasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Kadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Charubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patinanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare spent some time in Caterage and then was moved to the construction site at Srila temple. I was initiated at that time by a very senior early disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he was known as Bhagavandas Goswami at that time. And after some time, he sort of left us in a way, and which gave me sort of like a spiritual, traumatic experience. And that was in 1986, officially. So I became very, you could say in one sense, rebellious against any authority after that. And I didn't really know what to do, but then I reflected on how I came to be in Krishna consciousness. I first got the books called Srimad Bhagavatam, and at that time it was the first canto was printed in 3 volumes. Now it's in 1 thick volume. From a devotee who was my high school friend, but he was living in Caterage, and subsequently he married and was living back in the area near Sapingo in Malagasy. So I was doing some postgraduate studies while I was teaching in high school, and I wanted some books for what is called comparative religion as one of my ancillaries or supplementary subjects towards the master's degree. Because you don't write exams, it's a thesis, it's a dissertation. So I wanted to get some free books, not pay for them. So I knew he was connected somehow religiously with some society. But then I realized he was staying in Caterage, and then he subsequently got married. And he introduced me to a previous previous initiating guru, who subsequently was not in the movement then, in 1983. So I became a little confused, but he gave me this Srimad Bhagavatam. I was looking for Bhagavad Gita, but he didn't have it. So I read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and now it's like 1,300 pages in one volume. It's a very thick one. I mean, the thickest books that's being printed now. So I read the book in probably 12 days, and I sort of pretended I was sick and I didn't go to school to teach. Got one of my doctor friends who were in school with me to give me the medical certificate. Yeah. And I was convinced. And that's how I met Srila Prabhupada. And then subsequently, eventually I got the Bhagavad Gita before I went to Caterage from the same devotee, and also the Science of Self-Realization book. So when this kind of thing happened to me where my initiating spiritual master sort of let me down in a way, and that came to a head in 1986, I was quite confused actually. And I saw all of them as a really exalted personality. So it was quite an experience to go through. So from 1986 to 1989, I was quite rebellious against any authority telling me anything because of that experience. And I used to go to Mangalarti and just take darshan of the deities and go back to my room, which I was sharing with another brahmachari. That time his name was Jagat Mohan, and then he got raised as Raghava Pandit Prabhu. So we used to live together in one room. And he used to notice that I used to go to Mangalarti, but immediately after Mangalarti I come to my room and chant my rounds, and then I will start hearing Srila Prabhupada's, audio tapes, reel to reel, cassettes, they used to call them. So at that time, the Bhaktivedanta archives used to release, not everything at that time, but there was about maybe 2,100 cassettes. That's as much they could release at that time, after editing and so forth. So I read all of Srila Prabhupada's books at least by 1989 twice. And I heard every lecture of Srila Prabhupada, the 2,100 tapes, simply to get an excuse not to surrender to Guru again. That's all. But I couldn't find it in Srila Prabhupada's audio tapes as well as in the books. So the reason I'm saying this, I'm not a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and I haven't met Srila Prabhupada in person, so to speak. And at that time also, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj was responsible for the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, and he was bringing the books into the country and so forth. And then I decided to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, because that's what saved me before I joined, and that's what saved me even after I joined. I may have distributed in 2 or 3 years at that time, one print run of about 30,000 signs of self-realization to schools and so forth. It was very ecstatic. Still is up to today. So I had this deep, you could say, internal, how would you call it, sort of a grudge against this devotee who let me come, named Bhagavan Das Swami, and now Bhagavan Prabhu. So it was very, very deep. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So from 1986 up to 1989, I met several devotees, including senior devotees were at that time. There is Pranavallabha Prabhu, Hadikata Prabhu, at that time Parthasarati Prabhu, but now Parthasarati Das Swami, and other devotees were trying to help me to deal with this. And also the then GBC, His Holiness Giriraj Swami was also trying to help me for several years. But I was just stubborn and kind of lost faith in authority. In other words, I didn't trust anyone. So it came to a head in 1989 where I was thinking I should leave South Africa. So His Holiness Giriraj Swami, coming from a very wealthy family, he said, yes, I will help you with that. And then he bought my ticket, and I went to stay in Sri Vrindavan Dham from 1989 to 1991. And there I fully absorbed myself in the study of the books of Srila Prabhupada. And still, even if fully absorbed in studying Prabhupada's books, newer and newer realizations come from the same books itself. It's like eternal. You cannot exhaust it. It's eternal. Eternal, rather. So this thing was still sort of nagging me, that I have this grudge against this person who let me down. So I left Vrindavan in 1991 and I came to Mumbai, Bombay at that time, to the Juhu temple. And I was serving as one of the stewards for it. And like a personal servant and sort of partial secretary, so to speak. So one time in his office, is still there, his name is there. And he was there and he saw this and then he said, what is it? So I sort of, for the first time I fully revealed that I have this grudge against this person. And so he just was very silent and I spoke more. By that time I was reinitiated by him before I went to Vrindavan in 1989 into great initiation. So he told me one thing that really, you could say once, he knew that I was rebellious against authority, and others also knew that. And he also knew he cannot chastise me, because I kind of got reinitiated. In other words, he was quite sensitive about the whole thing. But he told me one thing. He said the year that your previous initiating spiritual master, Bhagavan Prabhu, like officially was sort of, you could say in one sense, removed from his position and so forth like that. He said that year, prior to that, they made him the International Minister for Book Distribution. You may remember this at that time. International Minister for Book Distribution. And I was a book distributor. And when he was there, I was like his leading book distributor in some results also. And then he told me something. He said that even if I take birth, this is all in his curious, so even if I take birth, even for a few more lifetimes, I will not match the inspiration and the leadership of book distribution that he has given to the world. He said, I will not match that. And that, that got into my heart. And then the sort of like grudge that I had against him was like sort of mostly removed. Because I lost complete appreciation for such a person, or even gratitude like that. So then, many years later, about, I would say, that's 2001. No, 1991, that was 1991, 92. So many years later, probably in 2000, maybe another 15 years maybe went past. And I was in Los Angeles, and they had the Prabhupada Memorial Festival at the end of May, I think. I was in Los Angeles. And I just came out of the temple, and you get this nice Maha sweet rice from the head pujari, Rajendranath, I think his name is, or something. And while I was taking this Mahaprasad sweet rice, and I look up and I see this 4x4 vehicle just parked, and Bhagavan Prabhu comes out of the vehicle in a sort of a t-shirt and a jeans. I was like, okay, after so many years I'm seeing him again. So as I was taking my sweet rice, he noticed me. Because I used to personally also serve him in Radha temple when he used to come with another devotee named Shruti who was late now. So immediately he saw me, he came straight to me. He said, Narayan. Is that you? I said, yes. Because that was my previous name from him. And I got initiated in prayer. And I thought, this person remembers me. And that still partial grudge was in there. So he immediately embraced me, pretty tight. He was my previous initiator. He embraced me tightly. And somehow from my sort of you could say in one sense, I don't know how it happened, but when he embraced me, every trace of that rebelliousness and sort of this thing disappeared. And I only said one sentence to him. I told him, I am praying for you that Srila Prabhupada will always be there for you. I just said that. I don't know how it happened, but those words came out. And after he came out of my embrace and he was walking away, I could see that he was tearing after I said that. I couldn't understand how these words came out of my mouth. It's like, I don't know how it happened. And he immediately took some of the sweet rice Mahaprasad from the head pujari. He jumped in his 4x4 and he drove off. So from that experience, I know that these first generation devotees coming directly from Srila Prabhupada, they have given the youth and the young adulthood, which is the prime of life, in trying to enjoy this material world. All of them, every one of them, both men and women, they have given the prime of their life. Some have joined as early as 16 years of age. Some join us late as maybe 24, 25, like at that time the eldest person who joined in 26 Second Avenue is His Holiness Saswat Goswami. So I thought, who am I to hold something against these personalities who have given the youth and young adulthood to actually struggle without any practically proper prasad to eat and so much austerities they went through. But at the same time, I don't know whether it's a sort of a higher arrangement or something, but I could see it like that then. And how I absorbed myself in hearing Prabhupada's tapes at that time. And there's a nice devotee wonderful devotee who's late now. His great Shama Prabhu who used to make those tapes and brought it to South Africa. And I heard every one of them, and I used to distribute them also. Especially the sets of 13 tapes of Prabhupada when he came here in October of 1985. I used to distribute those sets quite a lot. So I'm still doing it today. And about 15 years ago, I started this service of Srila Prabhupada's audio. And I'll just read some excerpts in relation to what we put into the booklet that's now double the amount. I used to hear 2,100 audio cassettes at that time. Now it's 4,000 and almost double, 4,073 audio files. And that's the maximum from the Bhaktivedanta archives. I'll just read for you in a lecture in Hyderabad on December 10, 1976. Just a short excerpt from that lecture. Srila Prabhupada says, in 1933, when I was introduced to my Guru Maharaj for initiation, so Guru Maharaj immediately said, quote, yes, I shall initiate this boy He is very nice. He hears me very patiently. He does not go away, unquote. And then Srila Prabhupada says of himself, so that was my qualification. I liked to hear him, and that was my hobby. So similarly, as Srila Prabhupada liked to hear from his spiritual master, we also should like to hear from Srila Prabhupada. So we have these audios of Srila Prabhupada, and it's there, available from His Grace Project Kishore Prabhu. And for the new year, if you are not hearing from Srila Prabhupada, this also takes you away from that, you could say, rubbish and nonsense of the social media platform. Because it's a USB 128 GB. And you don't have to go onto social media. And it's all the best. It's like it's sort of edited and background sounds have been taken out, so the clarity is even more from the original recordings. We've tried our best to do that. So if you want to avail yourself of this, you can go there and get a set. It comes in a nice, gift case with the USB there, as well as this. I've been doing this service for 15 years, and I will also continue to do this service to my last breath in this body. This is what saved me, and this is what's saving others, and this is what will save the world for the next 10,000 years, in a sense. Prabhupada's body. So you can hear that. Then about 3 years ago, I personally did this myself with other devotees, but I was heading up this project where Prabhupada Bapu, ultimate video collection of Srila Prabhupada. So by the mercy of His Grace Nishingananda Prabhu from ISKCON television, and by the grace of mercy of His Grace Yaduvar Prabhu with the Vishaka from ISKCON Cinema, we put this together with another devotee in Mumbai named Madhava Prabhu. So this is 70 plus videos, 64 GB metal USB, about 58 hours. Only Prabhupada and Prabhupada's followers during his time. Every video is here. This is on a 64 GB. So you can also avail yourself of this. Some of you may already have it, but if you don't have it, make sure you do. So there are a few things that are important in our lives. One is Srila Prabhupada's books. The other is Srila Prabhupada's Vani, which is the audio files, 4,073 files. Everything is there. Bhajans, kirtans, morning walks, all lectures from all the books. Japa and everything, including all of the Hindi lectures, which is about 145, and avail yourself. How much do you pay for a Srimad Bhagavatam set today? What's the price?
I think it is 3,500.
4,500.
3,000.
3,500. Okay. So, yeah, we have the most lectures from the Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Prabhupada. It's 943 classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam in this 128 GB USB. And it's not 3,500. It's only 550 grams. But we're not comparing that it can replace the book, but people are really not reading the books, but at least try to hear. Try to put an audio and try to hear. Then you will get inspiration to again begin to read the books like Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll just, can I take a few more minutes? Is it okay? Huh? So if you you have the audio video already and you're taking advantage of hearing Prabhupada's Vapuan and seeing Prabhupada's Vapuan hearing Bani, then take another set and give it as a New Year's gift. You know how much you spend in this festive season, right? So the boat comes to 1,000 rand, which is, they say in local language, 10 clips or something. Something like that. So invest that money eternally to your credit and give it as a gift to somebody else. We have it available. Yeah. I personally distributed the audio over the last 15 years. Maybe to date almost 180,000. And with the video in the last 2 years, I personally distributed about maybe 35,000, 40,000, which goes very well. And we put the money back into that, and we also give it as gifts in many places, like in West Africa, I sent 400 videos. Give it as gifts and whatever you need to do. So I just end with this one last anecdote of Srila Prabhupada. In the last days of Srila Prabhupada, I heard this from 3 devotees. One of them was His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, and the other one was His Holiness Dhiraj Swami, and the other was Mother Yamuna, who were like leading devotees also in India at that time. But I'm paraphrasing it, but the essence is there. So in the last days of Srila Prabhupada, in the month of November 1977, Srila Prabhupada couldn't move. He was, you could say in one sense, bedridden, so to speak. The word ridden is not a really good word, but they use that word like he couldn't move. So, the devotees worldwide were, and it was open to anyone worldwide to come to see Srila Prabhupada. And they were pouring in and coming to see Srila Prabhupada in his last days. So, one particular devotee was not a leading devotee. In other words, he was, you could say he was saying things, but he didn't know the impact of what he was saying, in that sense. So he came in, and Srila Prabhupada could hardly speak. But then when he was speaking, he used to speak, through the secretaries of the personal servants there. And then they would relay the message to the other devotee who was trying to tell Prabhupada something. I don't know what the devotee's name is, who I'm speaking about. I forget the name. So he came into the room and he saw Prabhupada on the bed, and he was devastated. So in his desperation, he was starting to speak to Srila Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was hardly responding because, his voice was very soft and very low, and he was like flat on the bed. He wasn't even getting up. So this devotee told Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, you told us that when your Guru Maharaj was on the planet, he left early. And you told us the reason he left early is because he was disgusted with his leading disciples, and therefore he decided to leave early. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Prabhupada may have, motioned to acknowledge that he did say that. And Prabhupada did say that. And then Prabhupada said, something like, we couldn't speak, but he just made some sound comes and make like, something like that. So then the devotee asked this question. But he meant well because he wanted Srila Prabhupada to be longer with us. But it was quite a heavy quest. He said, Srila Prabhupada, just as your Guru Maharaj was disgusted with his leading disciples and decided to leave early, is this the same or true of you now in relation to us? And that's a heavy question. And Srila Prabhupada somehow, he moved a little bit. And he was speaking, but softly but audibly, but in a very firm voice. In other words, the energy came to respond to this devotee. But very firmly, but in a very soft, whispering voice. He said something like, no. Just the word, no. And then Prabhupada said something. After some moments, he said something. He said, in fact, you all should know that you are my best association. That is how much Srila Prabhupada is grateful to all of his disciples. And then he said, in fact, you should know that you are my best association. Like that. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada's first generation devotees, disciples ki. Ananta Kuri Vaishnava Pratna ki. Yathai Gaur Premanande.
His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj ki. His Holiness Bhakti Brigad Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki. His Holiness Subhak Swami Maharaj ki. His Grace Madhavi Prabhu ki. Thank you so much to our speakers today. We really appreciate the love and the essence you shared with us, and I hope we take this mood into next year of being conscious of the gift of Krishna consciousness and also taking into what we can do to help